Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy Fan podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC. I'm Phil Bakke, and I'm joined tonight by Mikka Burrell. Mikka, how are we doing?
Doing well, Phil. Nice to see you again. 2 podcasts in 1 month. Whoa, we're on a roll here.
I know. It's almost like there's a lot to talk about regarding
Indeed.
Locomotive these days. Yeah, no, excited to dive in and excited to be back. I won't dilly-dally. We are joined by a very special guest tonight. We are joined by the new president and general manager of El Paso Locomotive, Mike DiGiulio. Mike, thanks for taking the time to talk to us tonight.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Mikka. Happy to be here.
So, Mike, obviously, I think a lot of people know that you're coming from Monterey Bay FC. So fans of Locomotive have history now, with Monterey Bay. They'll know the organization, things like that. But
Sure.
What brought you into the game? Like maybe, and I hate to make this sound like a job interview or something like that,
No.
but tell us how you got to, this point where you were in the game and now participating on the business side of the game.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. No, a crazy, probably a journey to this point that probably is different than most. As a young person, my grandparents and my parents were both car dealers. So my grandfather owned dealerships and my dad owned dealerships. So when I was young, anytime I wasn't playing sports, I was washing cars and moving cars around at like 14 years old. And that's just what I knew, sports and car business. And so my dad passed when I was 16, and I kind of we kind of pulled away from the car business. My mom sold his dealerships, and I kind of, I went to school and decided, car business, probably not for me. I saw the toll it took on my dad. It's a tough business. And so I moved on, and I got out of college, and I thought, gosh, I got to get a job. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I should try to get in the car business for a little bit. That my grandfather's dealership was still there. My cousin was running it. So I called him up, and like 3 days after college, I was there and I learned how to sell cars. And the business was just kind of, I don't know, sometimes they say things are like in your blood. The business just kind of made sense to me, and I did pretty well. And about 4 or 5 years in, my grandfather passed, and my cousin, who really did not like the business, decided he was selling everything. So I thought, well, man, this was supposed to be passed down to me. So I went on my own, and with kind of the goal and the hope of someday following in their footsteps. I was kind of like, I wanted both of them to be kind of proud from afar, from, up there, and like looking down at me and saying, hey, like, he did well. So took a long time, and I worked my way through like the public sector, and I worked for Sonic Automotive, the public. They had a lot of dealerships, gave me a lot of opportunity. And finally, in the Mercedes-Benz world, I was in Belmont, which is kind of right outside the San Francisco airport. One of my local competitors was Ray Beshoff, and Ray owned a dealership in San Jose that was like 5 miles from my house. And he would always tell me, you should come to work for me. And I was like, I have the best job. But over years, we decided that it would be good to partner. And we thought we would, really complement each other. And so I bought a piece of his store, and which was kind of a lifelong dream for me, to be a part owner. And I felt like, okay, now I've done what I was supposed to do in life. And we had the store for a few years, several years. And then we ended up selling the store and kind of going different ways. And I did some work for a friend of mine in San Diego. He had a dealership group, and Ray started Fresno FC. I don't know if you remember, like I think it was like 2018 and 2019 calendar year or seasons, and then decided that, they couldn't get a stadium deal done there no matter what. So he found this piece of property on the campus of Cal State Monterey Bay. And we were moving back to Northern California, and he called me and said, would you consider like jumping into this with me? And, we've had good business relationship, and I could use somebody who can really understand the business part of it. So we met in November of 19, and my wife and I went down there, and we looked at the property and thought, this is amazing. Who gets a second chance at a career, like at a different career? Almost nobody. So said, okay, we jumped in, flew to USL office in Tampa, interviewed there, and talked to those guys in February of 2020, got back, and COVID. So
Oh,
COVID hits, so
goodness.
kind of, which was actually a blessing for me in the sports world, because I got to spend all of 2020 sitting on every league call, learning all I could about the market, all I could about the USL. And I did that. And then 2021, we started in February and built the team and built the stadium and got to be involved in that construction project, which was wild. I've never, that was all new to me as well. And then, that led me into, running the team until the end of 2025 when we got down close. And I just honestly felt like, it was time for me to move on to another phase. I felt I had done what I could do there. And, we just agreed that, we've done some good business, but I think he wanted to go in a different direction than I wanted to go in. And so we parted ways, and I really didn't have a plan. And, I just wanted to kind of be with my family and decide what the next phase was. And the league called, and sorry, making a long story, but I'll just take you all the way through it. The league called me and said, hey, would you consider relocating? And I said, for the right situation, I guess I would. Two of my kids are out of college. My youngest is in college. So it's just me and my wife. And my wife was the merchandise director at Monterey Bay and did a fabulous job, but she wanted to do some other things too. And I knew Alan Ledford from all the meetings, and he is just a wonderful human being and just a great guy. And he lives in Northern California, always has. So we'd always cross paths. And so I agreed to take the conversation, and it just, I don't know, there was just something about the fit and the group and the opportunity. And then my wife and I came out here in November and stayed here for a couple of days. And I don't know, there was just something about El Paso that just really, for a Californian, just really felt good and fit. So we decided, hey, what a blessing, have another opportunity to continue to build something great here and be in a community I think that is so special. So December 2nd, I packed clothes and things and jumped on a plane, and here we are.
Now, I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
so correct me if I'm wrong, you're a California native then.
I am.
So is this your first time, leaving California and permanently relocating somewhere else?
We when we sold the dealership in 2015, we moved to Scottsdale. My son's a
Okay.
hockey player, and he, like a lot of soccer players, left home at 14 to try to play in the best areas. So he was living in Scottsdale, playing there, and he had been there for a couple of years. And so we moved there thinking we're going to be close to him and we're going to live in Scottsdale. But I'll be honest with you, Scottsdale and me, it's a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong. And lovely, everything. It just, I don't know. It didn't feel great to me. And I went and we moved to San Diego for a few years. And that's when I worked with a good friend of mine and back to California after that. So mostly California. Yes. My wife and I grew up in Fremont, California, both of us. We met in high school.
Wow. So, I mean, El Paso is obviously so different from, Monterey Bay, such an attractive place to live, to work. I mean, what kind of differences have you found, and what about it kind of felt right to you? I know it's kind of just a feeling that you have, but if you can articulate, what drew you to El Paso and what ultimately led you to stay and take on this job.
Yeah, I think, I really feel like I have a lot to give and I have a lot that I'd like to do. And I mean, like everybody else, like everyone a fan and everyone associated with any sports team, I just want to watch us lift a trophy and put a star above the crest. Like that is like a burning, like amazing thing that could happen. And as I looked at this, and I've watched, I mean, obviously we've played El Paso every year. I've watched what the club does. The more I learned about like the infrastructure here from an ownership group, from an ability to really compete, it just became more and more appealing to me. And I just wanted to be in an organization that was, super respectful, very, very positive in what they're trying to accomplish. and wanted to give it a go, wanted to really give it a go. And looking at, the ownership and what they put into the city and the things they're trying to invest and build and make the downtown and all the areas, they really cared about the community. It just kind of spoke to me. And when I met them, I don't know, it just, Mika, you're right. It just kind of it was a feeling that I had that this is where we were supposed to be. And when my wife came with me and said she felt like she'd be really comfortable here as well, um, I don't know. There was just something about it felt right. And then the more and it was a good, probably 8 weeks of conversation. So it really wasn't like super quick. There was time to really reflect and really think it through.
Well, I mean, talking a little bit about your tenure at Monterey Bay, obviously a lot of achievements there, maybe more so off the pitch than on.
Yeah.
And so talking about that, obviously the challenge at El Paso Locomotive, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course we always want to make the playoffs, and like you just said, lifting a trophy is the ultimate goal, I think, for everyone. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges at Monterey Bay? I mean, obviously they got close, but never really were in the playoffs during your tenure. What kind of challenges did you see there, and why that next step couldn't be taken there, and kind of what you've learned from that you want to bring to Locomotive?
Yeah, I mean, I think with a new club, right, in a market that had never had a professional franchise, there was a lot for us to learn.
Mm,
A lot for us to learn. A lot for us and ownership to learn about, like, what does it take to really compete? USL Championship is, I mean, as you're in it, is surprisingly competitive. Like, it is really, like, going on the road in USL is doesn't matter where, it's just really hard. And I think we focused a lot early on in the front office infrastructure, getting in the community, building great partnerships and those kind of things. And I think we really did a great job for the size of the market there. It's a little bit less than half the size of El Paso. So it's a small market, but on the field, it's really, because so it was really disappointing. Like, I really wanted to win there really bad. And we started off seasons really well. And if you watched us, right, we'd be starting off great, but then depth would get the best of us sometimes. And towards the end of the season, we would either injuries or we'd run out of gas. And it just kind of happened every year. And I think, I hope the best for the club. Like, I really do. I hope, hey, nothing be better than beating them in the Western Conference Finals, but so we can both have some success. But it was a tough market, and California is a tough market for sports, anyways. Just overall expense is really difficult. So
sure.
um, but I think we did some really nice things. We made some great. I mean, I made some great lasting friendships. There's a couple of guys that do what you guys do. I don't know, the Union Report guys, Chris Moulton and Andrew Martin, who are like really cool dudes who really dig into this stuff as well. And I just think there's a lot of great things there. But this El Paso, just like, it feels like, and again, this organization has a very successful AAA baseball team too, so they know what it takes to win in sports. And that they're, so I think there we did not have the success on the field ultimately that we wanted to. And I do think there's a lot of great people. Jordan Stewart, their head coach, I mean, I love the guy. I mean, his spirit is fantastic, and I hope he does really well. So I'm proud of the work we did. I'm disappointed that we didn't take it where it needed to be. I felt like this was time for me to try something else and something new, and take a lot of the things that we learned there and maybe add it to a great foundation here.
Well, and you mentioned, that infrastructure was one of those big focus points for Monterey Bay, a new franchise, of course, that makes a lot of sense. I would say one of your crowning achievements there was overseeing the development and the renovation of Cardinale Stadium. Um, my understanding is you've met some of the fans, and if I would be shocked if this hasn't come up, but Locomotive fans are absolutely desperate for a soccer specific stadium
Yeah.
of their own. Having been involved in developing infrastructure for its club before in this league, what are your thoughts kind of on the viability of a soccer specific stadium for Locomotive, and improving the infrastructure that this club has?
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, fair question. And then again, for somebody who's pretty new here, I mean, I feel good about what this ownership group is want to contribute. Obviously, there's a lot of hurdles to jump through to get to that point, but um, I think we're all hopeful like you are, and my goal is to really get out there in the community and get like really have the fans feel good about what we're doing, come out and support, fill Southwest University Park, and then like that would be a great transition into moving into soccer specific facility. Hey, you look at USL Championship, USL League One, USL Division One, which is coming in a couple of years. There's some exciting times in it, and this club I think is one of those clubs that could be the elite of the elite. Maybe not, hey, Louisville City, big club, big stadium, but this could be the franchise. I think 2, 3, 4 years from now that people are going, wow, that's the club I want to be at. And I felt like that was a part of what the plan was here. I know there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of nothing concrete at this moment, but I have a lot of trust and faith here, and I'm going to go to work really hard to try to build something that is sustainable and predictable, so fans can know that, hey, this is going to stay the same, and we're going to feel good about it. So that's the goal.
I mean, you're obviously stepping into a position as really the second ever general manager of El Paso Locomotive, of course, succeeding Andrew Forrest, who was with us for, from the club's inception.
Yeah.
How would you describe your responsibilities as general manager, maybe to someone who's not familiar with the club or the structure of a USL Championship club in general, and what parts of the job kind of energize you the most day to day?
Yeah. The role is very appealing when you're someone like president and general manager. Allows me to oversee not just the front office, which the business side of sports is really fascinating. It really is. Like you get like to experience a lot of different things, but the sporting end of it is like, it's magical, right? I mean, you're talking about being involved in player discussions and constantly talking about rosters. Now, the way that we're set up, I think is really a good setup. We're president and general manager, but we have a technical director and a head coach. So it's like for on the sporting end, on the front office end, yes, we have senior directors that I'll be working with, trying to mold that and grow that. But on the sporting end, which is kind of the more fascinating part to talk about, we have kind of a three-way collaborative effort where Ray Sari is our technical director. He's been here for a bit, very knowledgeable guy. And he's in the trenches, like really digging through on player signings and making sure he knows everything. And then, we have a brand new head coach, which also is very exciting, Junior Gonzalez, and then myself. So I probably would say, I probably am needed a little bit more on the front office side, especially in the beginning, than I am in the sporting side. But I get that it's a beautiful thing to be able to bounce between the two. And that is my role, is to make sure our sporting department is competitive and everybody gets what they need and supported, and fans feel connected. And then our partners and our season ticket holders and our supporters group also on the other end. So that was what was also appealing about this job for me. It wasn't just the general manager's job, and it wasn't just the president's job. It was the opportunity for me to be involved in both, which is really, really a blessing for sure.
And I'm sure it comes with like a decent amount of heat as well. Like brave taking it all on. No, I wanted to say, like, you mentioned Junior Gonzalez, and I think people are excited about Junior starting out with the club. Me and Mikka, years back when Mark Lowry first departed Locomotive, he like privately told us that Junior Gonzalez would have been his pick to succeed him. And so there is like I think a lot of respect for what Junior's done and all of that. I did want to just address with maybe a bit of an uncomfortable question, in the sense that so you get hired as Locomotive's new president and general manager, and Boxing Day, an article drops on USL Championship .com saying that Benny Feilhaber's the new coach of El Paso Locomotive, and this whole leak goes on, Junior Gate, whatever you want to call it. But so obviously, middle of the holidays, you're probably in the midst of some hectic stuff, and you've got people banging down your door about like what's going on. Can you talk us through a little bit about like what went on there? Because I think the teaser had dropped about Junior, and it seemed like maybe Junior was in the works, and then this article comes out. So any insights into that? Just to like, I think it was one of those where the fans were kind of left thinking like, what's gone on here?
Yeah, I will tell you, I was back in California because it was, right around the holidays, and I was working around the house, getting some things ready for the holidays, and I got a couple of texts from a couple of players of mine, past players that I stay in close contact with, saying, "Congratulations! I can't believe they scooped you." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, like, honestly. And then they sent it to me, and it was unfortunate. Obviously, I mean, no ill will. There was just some confusion at the league, and they went on break, and they had these articles teed up, and they auto fired. And so quickly we communicated, quickly they fixed it. But yeah, I mean, I felt bad because Junior, I mean, you've seen the teaser. The teaser photo is actually of Junior walking from a distance with Ray. There's a lot of hoops that you got to jump through, when you're hiring a head coach, from background and all kinds of getting full approval to be able to make the announcement. And the holidays did us no favors there, right? Everything took, I mean, it was just like, come on, like it was longer, like we want to do this. And then that happened. And it was just it was super unfortunate. Like, I was like, we're waiting and waiting. I'm dying to announce Junior. Like, I'm super pumped about it. So is Ray. So is everybody. And then this. And very tough for Benny as well. Like, he's a great guy. And I mean, that's not good for anybody. And then Junior, like, terrible.
Yeah.
So unfortunate, wrong timing. Nothing magical about it other than just a lousy little error that, we all make mistakes, and we felt bad. And I wanted at that moment, I'll be honest. I mean, I probably shouldn't even say this, but you'll find that I'm probably way more transparent than I need to be. But like, I was like, I want to announce Junior today. I don't care. Like, I don't care if I'm nuts, but like, I want everybody to know but we still have to follow protocol, and couldn't do that. But fortunately, it didn't take too long from there.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand the timing of the holidays and all that sort of stuff in terms of trying to spin up like some kind of response to like this thing, and it's like, how much air do you give it versus like, do we just try to minimize like throw some blankets on it and try to minimize the impact? But no, I mean, obviously tough for all involved, and I think people still excited by the appointment that did officially get announced in the end.
And the league is great. I mean, it's a great league. The people that work in there are really good people, and I know them for years, and they were right on it. And it's it's one of those kind of things that happened, and we move on.
I suppose you can't blame them for being excited. So
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
With you mentioned the fact that obviously it seems like you're spending more time on the front office side right now, probably getting the organization ready. Obviously, you're fully in the midst of preseason and trying to make sure logistically you're all set up to get things kicked off and make sure the ticket sales are going well, all that sort of stuff. But in your like integration into the team and all of that, how have the early conversations gone with Junior and Ray, just from like purely kind of building this sort of new hierarchy? Because Ray is kind of the continuity. Everybody else is new. So how have those conversations gone, and how's that sort of relationship coming together as you guys look ahead to the new season?
Yeah, no, I think really, really it's coming along really well. Like, when I came out here in November to kind of just meet everybody and talk, I got to spend a little bit of time with Ray. We know some mutual people, so I knew a little bit about Ray. Ray knew a little bit about me, but we there was some getting used to each other. But I've been able to, Ray and I have been able to spend a lot of time together. Junior, since he's gotten here, he's just like, he's busy right now because training started yesterday. But prior to that, got to spend some time. So I think there is something great about like the Ray knowing that being here, and then Junior and I coming in, maybe with a little bit of a different perspective. Everybody's got the key for us is to make sure that the three of us collaborate. And we know that somebody's going to have an idea that's going to be the best idea, and it's we win or we lose, but we do it all together. And I think we've started off on a really good path here. And I think the way this team is coming together, player wise, and got a few more to add, but I really like the conversations that are going on as we talk through this, and very respectful, but everybody wants to do the right thing and everybody wants to win. So it's been really, really good so far.
I think you've kind of already started on this, Mike, but my understanding is when you had your press conference, you were able to meet some of the kind of diehard Locomotive supporters, the eighth notch, if you will.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a club that has a very intense support, and they have seen success in the past. But perhaps there's been, I think, a feeling of a little bit of disconnect between the fans and the club in recent seasons, no doubt due to results, but also just, turnover in the managers, etc. What kind of specific plans do you have for kind of increasing fan engagement and kind of fostering that connection to the club that once I think was very strong and I think has a ways to go to get back to that level? And how important is that to you, the fan connection?
Yeah, no, I think that was one of the first couple things that I spoke to with Alan, with ownership, and that I felt like the further connection between the fan base, the supporters group, and the club starts with me. Like it's gonna go as far as I lead it to go, and I'm really committed to that. I was able to meet Laura and a couple other folks from Eighth Notch, and first thing I said was like, I gave my cell phone number and said, let's meet. Like the best way for us to connect is just sit down and like the three of us are doing, just talk, get to know me a little bit. Let me get to know you a little bit. We're going to both find that we're decent people and we can figure some things out. And I think that's where it all starts. Transparent. There's got to be a little bit of transparency. And I kind of said that to everybody in ownership, like diehard fans, supporters, folks like yourself, like you want a little transparency. There's certain things I can't talk about, but like there's a lot that I can. And I felt like that's what's kind of made some of the relationships at Monterey really, really great, like with Chris and Andrew and with Ruben Ramirez, who's the head of the Hinchas group there, like sitting down 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 or 3-on whatever and having those conversations. So I'm going to do my very best to be in community as much as possible with the front office, with sporting, and having these kind of meetings. This is where good stuff comes from, and this is where you get great ideas and you get that connection that lasts. And so it's gonna go as far as I take it, and I'm committed to doing that.
Now, looking kind of bigger picture, and this might be kind of a tough question to answer, but if you could narrow it down, what would you say your number one priority is for the 2026 season, and what does a successful 2026 season look like to you?
Yeah, you're talking about a team that finished fourth last year, hosted a playoff game. That's a successful run. So we have we want to go forward from that. I think a successful season for us, when you break it down, is, and it's going to take a really great product on the field. It's going to take us really connecting with the community, but increased fan attendance and increased fan experience at the stadium is going to be how I'm going to judge a lot of like, how are we doing? Like if we get bigger crowds and they're enthusiastic and they're having a great time and we're all connecting together and talking through things that, maybe we could do a little better, or maybe we're doing really well or something that people like. And Junior does what I think he will do on the field. that will assist us in doing that. But I think, USL, I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? We are, at this moment, we're live entertainment. We're on TV, but we're not, I mean, it's not like we're generating a lot of revenue on TV. We're on TV for the convenience of folks that can't make it. And it's great. I think it's fantastic. But what we want is folks to come to the stadium, have a great time, and see a team that displays the characteristics that an El Pasoan wants to see. And so some of it, long story short, I'll probably judge some of our success by what kind of fan experience and what kind of energy is in the stadium. I think that will be a key factor.
Absolutely.
With that, I mean, it is an interesting thing and maybe a tough problem, or not, problem, opportunity, however you want to position it, I guess. But Locomotive finishing fourth last year, hosting a playoff game. Obviously, that playoff game not going particularly well. But the interesting thing, and maybe where this connection, thing sort of hits the hardest, is like we finished fourth, and you wouldn't necessarily know it, like given the attendance or fan energy, like that sort of stuff, which is very tough. Obviously, bouncing back from some of these tough seasons. So I guess aside from the transparency, like how do you go about addressing like I mean, and maybe this is too strong a word, but some of the apathy that probably has crept into the fan base a bit over the past couple of years? Like, how do you go about kind of like scoring out some of the rot there, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, right? I mean, I think it again, it centers around the product that we put on the field and how we take that product off the field. So I said in a press conference, and I've said it to Junior, I said, I think Junior will be every bit as good out of the stadium and off the field as he is on. And I think that's really important. I mean, there's an emotional connection between club and fan base that has to be fostered. And hey, I know that I watched the playoff game. Like I'm not, I mean, I would have liked to have, I'm rooting for big crowds no matter what. I'm a USL fan. I want the league to be super successful. When I watch somebody else's game, I want to see a full house. Like that is a good thing for all of us. So I saw that, and it was, I thought it was surprising a bit, but I think it's a great fan base here. It's a great soccer environment. It's gonna be a little bit of just getting out there and shaking hands kind of thing. Like, I don't know any other way to tell you, but other than just, we're going to be just kind of grassroots and trying to, and then delivering a great experience. I mean, I'm the kind of person that if you're at a match, you're probably going to see me like at some point. I'm a bit of a wanderer. I like to experience the game there will be times when I will hunker down someplace and really watch the game if it's like, just so I could watch our team. But I also want to get out there and see what fans are feeling and see what they're experiencing. So yeah, there's a lot of work for us to do. Not easy. Like I know this is going to be a lot of hard work, but I think it's going to be, we're up for it. I'm up for it. And we're going to just do it, right? Like do the hard work out in the community.
When talking about Junior being good, like off the pitch too, I would say, sort of the halcyon days, like Mark Lowry was doing a drive time coaches show like weekly on ESPN radio, just like very visible, talking, getting out there, being on this show. Not to say that, I mean, hey, if he wants to come on, he's, we obviously would love to have Junior on. But
I'll bug John about that later.
Yeah. But no, I do think that sort of stuff makes a real difference when fans feel, access to the coach and players and feeling like they do have a sort of this viewport into, into the team that they invest a lot of time and money and all that stuff into for themselves. So, no, it's encouraging to hear. The last, before we get on to some like lighter topics to kind of round us out, I do have to just ask about like the USL elephant in the room right now is that there isn't a CBA with the USLPA, and obviously there's been a lot of noise, a lot of a lot said, like across the league, in all these different things, and obviously not not going to ask you to, comment on like ongoing negotiations or something like that. But it seems like the players and the owners are kind of coming back to the table for some more rounds of bargaining here. The players have reported, and the Players Association, I think, maintains that there would be a work stoppage, like if there isn't a CBA. So I guess first and foremost, like how do you have any insights in like how everybody is approaching this season? Because it seems like everybody's kind of saying, hey, it's business as usual until it's not.
Yeah.
And then how I guess how likely is it that, come the first week of March we're kicking soccer balls in Southwest University Park?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously, that's the way I'm proceeding, is that we are. Our guys are having like entered market, feeling great. I will say this. I mean, we're very lucky. We're very lucky here. This club is exceptional in, I think, a lot of ways that maybe not all clubs are. With facilities, with amenities, things that I think are important. So you look at our guys, and I went out to training yesterday and watched first day of training. Junior came up to me and said, "What'd you think?" And I said, "Man, exactly what I expected to see. Like a lot of energy, super organized, very focused, guys wearing smiles, happy to be back." So, we're gonna control what we control right now, which is getting ready for March 7th, and have a high level of confidence that that's going to be a really good day for us, and maybe not the greatest day for Colorado Springs. I don't know what to tell you. And then the next week, lucky for me, we go on the road to Monterey Bay. Like, why they would put that in the schedule?
Were you weren't in the room for the scheduling meeting for that one, Mike? You didn't.
I saw the schedule come out. I said, "Wow!" Like, thanks.
Do you plan to hit the road for that one? You gotta, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're there twice, so we play them 3 times. We're there twice. Yeah. I mean, some of it'll kind of depend on what's going on. It's so early in the season. Like, I would like
right.
to. I'd love to see some people down there and see a game there. I hope so. But if not, I'll definitely go in the second one.
I mean, got to get back to the aquarium. That's the
yeah.
No, well, I do appreciate like all the time spent. We've got a couple of more kind of lighthearted questions around you. I'll just let people get to know you a little bit more. But you were mentioning before we were talking, or before we were recording, I should say, that you're originally from Northern California, Bay Area. So I had a question down to ask about your other sports or other soccer leagues and who your rooting interests are. Because we've got a very mixed bag between me and Mikka across the US and Europe, but curious who your teams are.
Yeah, I mean, I get poked fun at Monterey a bunch for my rooting interest outside of our local team, and I'm a City fan, and I know that's so. We had a couple of our coaching staff and technical director in Monterey Bay. I mean, obviously those guys played at the highest level in Europe, right? So their team is the team they grew up with. But one of them came out here, and his favorite NFL team was the Dallas Cowboys. And I would be like, "Oh yeah, you want to be like, that's like America's team. You picked it for now." And he would always say to me, "Oh yeah, you picked City because they just win." And which may
Not
be
today.
true. Well, awful today. I don't know, but there's just something about City that just spoke to me a little bit. I love watching I'll watch a ton of USL soccer. I feel like I have a lot of good friends around the league that I root for. I'll watch La Liga, I'll watch Serie A. I really enjoy watching it. And I didn't grow up a soccer guy. Like I grew up a basketball, baseball, and football. Like that's what I played all 3 sports until they said, "You're too short to play basketball." Oh yeah, I could play baseball, and I still played football. So My son is a hockey player, so I love the sport. Love, love, love the sport. He played through college, just graduated about a year and a half ago. But yeah, that's where I am in soccer.
All right. But
The
so Bay Area sports otherwise, Mike?
I am a
Okay.
I'm a Raider. I'm an A's. I'm a Warrior fan, and
Got it.
obviously I'm a San Jose Shark fan. I was very fortunate as growing up. My dad, before he passed, was really, really good friends, and this is going to really date me, so I'm really apologize this in advance. Was really good friends with Willie Brown. Willie Brown was a Hall of Fame corner for the Raiders, and they were really good friends. And his son and I were the exact same age, and we both went to competing schools, and we played football against each other in high school. And so as a kid, I was the lucky kid that was in the Raider locker room for after games, before games. So I really fell in love with the Raiders as a kid. And then my dad was great friends with Ray Fosse, who's an all-timer with the A's. So I was an A's fan there as well. So yeah, I'm a very Bay Area, East Bay. I'm not a Giants fan. I'm not a Niners fan. I'm a very East Bay guy.
Okay.
Well, then I guess I can understand the city attraction too, because I mean they're the east side of Manchester. They're Manchester proper. They like to point out that Manchester United are not in Manchester, but I guess that makes sense.
Yes, and I say that as well.
Well, listen, I know you're still getting to grips with living in El Paso and all that, but I want to know if you've had anything good to eat in our city. What's the food scene been like for you as someone coming from California where you got basically everything you could ever want?
I'm telling you, like, I have had so much good food. Like, again, I'm eating out all the time because I'm a terrible cook, and my wife is an amazing cook, and I'm here by myself. Actually, my son just flew in on Sunday night, so he's here with me, and he's no better than I am. But and I lived downtown in a hotel for the first month, so without a car. So I would just walk to work and walk to every place. And so I did get a good dose of downtown, but the food here has been, I think the food here is fantastic. Like, I honestly am stunned. Barrio downtown, I've eaten there probably 4 or 5 times. And
Nice.
I'm a pescatarian, so I don't
Okay.
eat any meat, but like the options here, I've loved it so far. Food is terrific.
Good. We're glad to hear it. Um, Something that maybe could help, garner more interest back in the team again is that there's a little thing called the World Cup happening this year, and we are hosting it along with Canada and Mexico. I'm wondering how you think the U.S. men's national team will do and who's winning it all, according to Mike DiGiulio.
Wow.
Early
I don't
prediction.
know who, yeah, that's tough. Like, that's a hard question. I don't know who's winning it. I have high hopes for the U.S. men's, but man, it has been really tough. It has been really tough, but it's exciting. Like, we've been waiting for 2026 for a long time. Like, I remember we were starting in 2021 going, World Cup's going to be here in 2026. We're going to hit a peak of soccer and it's going to be exciting. So it is going to be exciting. The best part about it is we get to watch matches on our time and not like
Right.
be waking up at 2:00 in the morning to watch something, which is
Right.
great. I have high hopes for the U.S. men's team as well, but I don't know. I don't want to say they're not winning it because that would be really un-American of me.
Fair
I'll
enough.
take the
Fair
U.S.
enough.
men. How about that?
All right. Well, crazier things have happened. We'll see.
I
Yeah.
do have a big soft spot for the Italians, obviously, when but yeah, we'll hope for the best.
Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure getting to chat with you tonight, and thanks so much for spending all this time with us. And yeah, we're all very excited to see what Locomotive can do, and hopefully, I think people will be excited to hear that the connection of the fans is like such a forethought in your mind. So yeah, just appreciate all the time and attention here, and yeah, we're very excited to see Locomotive push on in 2026.
No, I appreciate you guys spending some time with me, and really enjoyed it. And I'm happy to come on anytime and answer some tough questions as long as you throw me a couple easy ones. And Mikka, I look forward to seeing you in person out here. And Phil,
Absolutely.
maybe hopefully you'll make a trip out here sometime soon.
Was
We
that-
try to bully him every season. Like, when are you
Was it-
coming?
It wasn't last. It was year before last, right?
Yeah.
That I went. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
due for another. I'm due for another visit.
Well, I look forward to seeing you guys out here and getting to meet face to face and continue the conversation. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Likewise, we appreciate it so much. Best of luck for the rest of preseason and, of course, kicking off in March. So,
You got it. Thanks, guys. Take
Thanks,
care.
Mike.
thank you.